Yes, indeedy, we are the needy. Good morning and welcome to the show. I'm your host or hostess. It depends on which side of the rainbow you're sitting on. I'm Lauren Michaels Harris. So happy to be here. I'm excited. I just can't hide it. I'm serious. I'm so times 50 excited. Good morning, beautiful people. You're looking awfully good out there today. This bell, oh, I missed this bell this past weekend. I had no idea how important this bell was to my everything. I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, as most of you are aware, supporting phew, things I knew I went for and some things that I didn't know I was going for, namely the Slave Free Project. And if my shirt from there was not still in the laundry, and Esmeralda hasn't done the laundry yet. Oh, wait, that's me. I have multiples. No, I haven't done the laundry, so I would have worn it, but I wore it for 2 days straight, though. I really did. Um, Slave Free Project benefiting Soap for Hope, all kinds of different things. But the people that were there, the victims, I hate that word, but survivors. There you go. The survivors, the families, the people who organized it. Jason Cisneros and Pastor Rudy, certain ministries. Anyway, it was all to raise awareness to the need to eradicate a horrible, horrible plague on the world, which is human trafficking. And I met some great people while I was out there. But before that even really started for me, the Friday night, we had a dinner. You know how it is. Hey, welcome. Oh, come on, everybody, let's meet here. So we were there, and January, who I swear to God should play Karen Carpenter on the stage play of the Carpenters. I'm gonna write it. It's gonna be called. I'm gonna name the show. We've only just begun. Seriously, and don't try to steal it, somebody, because I already wrote it down, left the envelope, and mailed it to myself. Copyright, sue your ass. Yes, I will. So anyway, we've only just begun. And because she reminds me of Karen Carpenter. She got this one little yellow dress ditty. I swear I saw it in some interview. I'm gonna find it. I think it was a Merv Griffin she wore it, but I'm gonna find it because I'm a Karen Carpenter fan. I'm serious. I had to go to therapy when she passed away. I was that depressed. But anyway, January Riggin, and don't add an S on it because I noticed a lot of people do that. Isn't that right? You're in the green room. I can see you. Don't they, January? She said, yeah. It is Riggin. I think it's because remember there used to be a store, something called J. Riggins. Remember that back in the day when they had malls? So anyway, January Riggin, what a story. I'm not even going to try to crack the shell on that. I'm going to let her do it. We're going to start at the very beginning, and we're going to talk about what she's doing today. I went out with her and Amberly, who you'll get to meet this coming Monday, the 24th, on Bathrobe Moment. She'll be here to share her story. But these two took me out Friday night. We left, I think, right around, I don't know, 11 o'clock or so, and went out. It was an outreach mission, and we gave out hygiene bags. I got a backpack. Uh, January had a backpack, and Amber stayed back at the car at the trunk with it open with the paperwork for the syringe exchange program, which they are certified to do through Soap to Hope. So anyway, I thought I was prepared. I used to hang out there in those streets in the heat of my addiction, and it was no big deal. I thought I was there, and it was just so many things. It was everything. Get this. It was everything but a trigger. And most people would have said, "Are you sure you want to go out there? You know that's going to be a trick." It wasn't. And I saw people with crack pipes. I mean, right there, and I was all up in their faces because I couldn't believe I was seeing it so casually done. When I was out there, I had to go hide somewhere. I was one of them paranoid ones, and there were so many things going on. It was just like I'm gonna ask January when she gets in here. I'm letting you guys get in here while I'm chit chatting with this monologue. But I'm gonna ask her because there's a name she has for it. I think it's something lights, something you know what I'm talking about, January. The lights behind the city or something like that. We're gonna talk about that. And anyway, what an experience. When I got back to the hotel, probably around 12:30, 1 o'clock, I did not go to sleep until probably 3:30. Sat on the edge of my bed. I stood out on the balcony. I sat in a chair. I walked back and forth from the front door of the room to the windows, just saying, what can I do? What more can I do? Because I really came home feeling like I don't do shit. I'm just keeping it real. After what I saw these girls do out there, the impact they made, it just it makes you want to do better. And anything that extends its hand toward you, and in that hand you see an E and an R, you better get close to it. Because even if you're nice, it means you can be nicer. If you're smart, it means you can be smarter. Even if you're great, with it you can be greater. And that's what I got from that night with these two girls. So I picked up a huge E, an even huger. Is that a word? Huger? It has ER on it. I'll take it. An even more huge R. So I came home with the ER. It made me, if I was great, I'm now greater. And if I was nice, I'm now nicer. And if I was smart, I'm now smarter. That's what we want for you today. So I know January is her plane has arrived, and she, I believe, was outside giving out hygiene kits to the neighbors that were smelly. So here we go. Toodles.
Doodles! It's morning.
How are you? Oh, I love your sweater.
I don't have that robe. I can't go steal it from Little America.
Oh, that's right. I should have just took it that night. I left it at the pool. The pool ain't open. So, anyway, you look great. Welcome to the show. Oh, that's your selfie. That's your selfie face.
Carbon.
Because I see that a lot when I see it. You're so funny, girl. Anyways, let me start because I'll forget we have a show and we'll start then. Thank you so much for gracing the stage of Bathrobe Moments. We're really, really honored to have you here, and I mean that.
I'm nervous and like.
Oh, girl, no, you listen. If you can do what you did Friday night and almost every night, come through the things that you have nothing to be nervous about. Let me just tell you that. For you all who don't know, this is the Bell of Purpose. It is new to season 4, but it is not new to my heart. What it stands for, it's more than just a bell. It's a chance for you, for all of us, to be a part of something greater than ourselves. And what do I mean by that? I mean, when I hit the bell, it's because our guest has said something that I'm going to drop off some old way of thinking to pick up this new one. It means that something touched my spirit, warmed my heart, and encouraged me to be a better person. And so I want the world to know I got it, and that bell is to wake you up in case you didn't, or to tell someone else. And it's also the chance for you to say, you know what, I need to share this. Hit the share button, start a watch party, phone a friend, send out a raven, do whatever you need to do, smoke signals, just make sure you're outside. And let's share the good news with everyone we can. Let's save a life or two, shall we? So, and I forgot this. I didn't pack this when I was in Salt Lake, and I was lost without it in that 2-hour interview. I kept automatically wanting to. I love this thing.
I thought it was a timer being like, time these bitches out.
No, it means that it's just like, wow, can you believe what this person is saying? Right. So you guys, right now, I am going to put a challenge out to each and every one of you to share this. Invite 5 friends right now. Invite 5 friends, because human trafficking is closer than you know. Feel the breath of the perpetrator on someone that you know on their neck. If you know girls between, I'm just going to stretch it out and say 8 to 24. If you know someone, if you know a female that you love, pick 3. Say their names out loud right now. Say their names out loud right now, and then find someone to send this broadcast to, because you don't want to say their name out loud when they're gone. Say their name out loud and celebrate them while they're still here. Will you do that for us? So tell us, January, which is really her real name. Were you born in January?
I was born January 1st. My mom was lazy.
Oh my goodness, no, she's January 2nd, my niece seminar. So, hey, we both have great celebration birthdays. I'm the 4th of July, and you're January 1st.
My daughter's is Valentine's Day.
Oh no, we need to have a party. We need to do something. We need a club. We need a group, a Facebook group, holiday birthday people.
That would be great.
That would be. We're going to start it, you and I. So I want you to go all the way. I know you're ordinarily people ask you, January. First, say hello. Tell people where you're at, a little bit about the organization, and then I'm going to ask you a question that's going to hopefully start you someplace no one started you before on your story. Go right ahead.
My name is January. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah right now. living off Main Street, which I get to see it all, and I don't get to pass it or drive by. My organization, the reason why we call it Soap to Hope is because for 2 years now we've been doing street outreach, where we've been handing out hygiene bags, wound care, resources, and connecting them to peer support, which that's me, is that I was, I'm a survivor of, trafficking, addiction, trauma, grief, poverty, lack of self-esteem, cutting. And so it took me a while. I was 10 years, I have almost 14 years clean in recovery. And at 10 years clean, I walked into a gas station and I smelled this odor, and it smelled like really old sweat, cocaine, BO, like with this old, like Walmart, like cologne. And it spun me out. I didn't know it. Like I call it a trauma pocket.
Mm.
I went home and I couldn't move for 4 days, and I was just crying, and I was in this fetal position, and these flashbacks and flashbacks and flashbacks came back of all these sexual violence and being sold, and those weren't the words being used when I was out there. That's why I really have an advocate, that the verbiage and the because that was street ma to me, right? She took me in, like I was obligated and I needed her, and she gave me drugs and she loved me, but they weren't the words that are being used now. It wasn't predator. Back then it was what, dad, uncle, you know what I mean? Like they weren't called the predators and the, molesters. It was all like, no, that's your dad. He's, whatever, like those things are. And so I didn't know that those were the words that was going on with me. And I lost my mind. Like I almost killed myself because I thought I was lying about my story, and I thought I didn't know who I was. And I lost my identity in this trauma pocket that I was scared to admit. Like I was okay telling people, oh yeah, I'm a slut, I'm a junkie, I'm a criminal, but I was afraid to tell people that I was abused, I was sold, I was a prostitute, because of the stigmatization and the dehumanizing of that. Like people accept, like, oh yeah, that's a junkie, just, like now she's in recovery, so she got some, empowerment. But like admitting those things, like I didn't even know how to say it. And I went back through this phase of being mumbling, like I couldn't even talk correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and did some work, and I got to bring all that out. And that's where I met some other women in this by being honest, and started this street outreach. And for a year, I just did it without nonprofit. I just came out of pocket, working 4 jobs, building these hygiene bags, just me and I call her my little sis, because she was, when she was younger, she had a pimp and she was escorted and all those things. And we just started walking the streets with like 20 bags. That's all we could afford. And we went to 40 bags, and then we started to get other people involved that said, hey, can I come out with you? Can I help build bags? And then, like a year in, I met some people through this, like even Jason, where he was like, yo, you should really get a nonprofit. Like, are you going to do this? And I tried to fundraise, and I was meeting people to like take that step into nonprofit. And then we went from those 20 bags, and now we hand out over 170 bags a week, and we are approved syringe exchange program. We still are only ran off of volunteers and donations. And I worked 4 jobs to supply this for a long time. Like literally worked one, got off one, did this online, did that online. On the weekends, I was working at a nightclub, running the door, just so I can afford this, because it had so much passion for me and the connection we were building. And so that's how Soap to Hope got formed. I mean, for a long time, we called it the Slut Walk, the SLUT walk, because it was Salt Lake City, Utah walk. But everybody was like, everybody has their like.
No, I bought Brian a mug.
Yeah.
That has SL, UT, slut. And honey, is that your favorite souvenir I brought you? He said, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's funny.
Yes, we changed it to Soap to Hope, and I love it. And it is that we're just bringing awareness to a forgotten population, but
Awesome.
and they're behind city lights, like they're suffering behind city lights, and they're being abused, trafficked, confused, manipulated, they're addicted. Not only, yes.
Oh, they took you long enough. What is it? Thank you, prop lady. I mean, prop man. My husband.
Girl.
He brought me that to show you.
Yeah.
Okay, listen. Um, I can tell. I better jump in because I'll just sit here and let you talk all day
Oh, I need
and
questions. I need
do
questions.
your lips and do those lips. So I could listen to you is what I mean. I could listen to you all day long. But there's some questions that I know I would love to hear your take on. But before I even get to those, January, take us back to when was the last moment as a girl you felt like you were inside of, if ever, a normal family dynamic where you had an address and a room and posters on the wall and you had a best friend and you
And
went to, you had sleepovers or you went over to your friends. When was the last time, is if ever, did you experience that?
when I was younger, I was just raised poor. My parents went through a divorce, and one parent took one kid, and one parent took another, which caused a lot of heartache, like just separation and that. And I had to share a room with my brother. We had bunk beds. We lived in this single wide trailer park that bred a lot of predators. And I've been back to those places to let go of this little child that I keep trapped there because I punish her a lot because I don't think she's worth a lot.
Right.
And so, and through those times, like my mom and my dad did get homes and like had rooms for us, but like they were very, when my mom took me to another state, like a lot of that was, there was a lot already damage going on and sexual abuse, and nobody knew it. It was the secret, right? Like I wasn't willing to share it, and I was just that kid that was shattered and said I don't have a voice, and I didn't want to cause any more ripple effect that my family was already fighting to get me raise money for food. You gotta give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so I haven't
Hey,
had
little baby.
even in um
Go
when I
ahead. You do
recovery.
what you need to do. That, yeah, because I know. Look, it sounded like that dog sounded like he was right there. Where'd she go? Anyway,
I just had to get him.
he's way back there.
I'm
What'd you
here.
do? What'd you do? Give him a treat?
No, well, my one dog couldn't get off the bed. Marley, she had surgery and she had
Oh,
so she was barking at me on the bed.
oh, that was her nurse. Nurse. That was the bell. Okay, I get it. She
Yeah,
needs one of those. That's what Marley needs right there. Bell.
yeah. But
So
even when I got into recovery, I didn't know how to put things on the wall. Like I was so scared because no stability was ever there. Like I couldn't put things on the wall. And like now you have them everywhere because now this is my home and I get to call it
right.
home. But
Yep.
like
Yep.
I was always on the run, always trauma. I was always leaving somewhere. I was always running from
How
something.
old were you? How old were you? And I want you to understand. I'm not gonna. I hope you don't feel like I'm being rude during this hour,
No,
jumping in and snatching you back
no,
to.
I need you to.
Okay, because there's so many different things. There's way too much to cover in 1 hour, but I want to hit on a variety of pertinent points. Okay, so the reason I asked that question was I wanted people to understand that a lot of the mindset that helps the victimizing process starts before the streets ever really are where you live. A lot of people think it happens once you're on the street. I want people to understand that it begins for many uh, long before that, inside the sanctity, if you will, of the safe, if you will, home or family dynamic. And such is the case for yourself, correct?
Right. I was a perfect recipe for a predator.
Oh, I
I
like the way you put that.
I had childhood trauma, wasted cum in me already. I've already tasted semen before I was 7. Like I was already poverty. I was already running. I was already using substances, and and sex was already distorted for me. And so I was a perfect recipe for a
Let's
predator.
talk about that for a second. Because, when we talk about abuse, even in my own stories, when I'm speaking on stages and whatnot, I find that my audiences are more comfortable, especially the people that paid me to be there, if I do a 50-yard dash past the spirit of being abused, because it is a negative spirit. That's how I see it, an entity. So here on Bathrobe Moments today, we have a chance to stop and stop the traffic and say, look at this. So tell us, um, And you said something really great there. When you said sex was already distorted for you. Um, when you were being abused in the home, what did you think was happening? And who did you tell, if anyone?
And I didn't tell anybody.
And why do you think that is, January?
Um, I wasn't noticed. So if nobody else noticed it, nobody else was gonna believe it. Like nobody was asking me or nobody seen the signs. And so I didn't think I was worth noticing anyways. And I felt forgotten in my own home. So like I really didn't think that anybody would believe me anyways. And and so I just didn't have that voice.
Was it a trusted family member, which I hear is the case? No,
No,
in many cases,
mine was just the environments that I was surrounded around being
just
in
environment.
in
Okay.
poverty.
Okay. So your last memory of just a healthy, uh, normal, if you will, little girl was you don't even have that.
Mm-mm.
Hmm. Think about that for a second, everyone. So January, let's move up to. Can you take us to year 15 of your life, all the way through 17? I know that's the ooey gooey chewy center of one of your Tootsie Pops. So, known as your journey. So let's go into that one, will we? Let's pick that Tootsie
I'm
Pop up.
I like how you say that. Man, I was already addicted to a substance,
Which one?
methamphetamine,
Okay.
weed, alcohol. I love how people are like weed's the gateway to, and I'm like, no, childhood trauma is the gateway into addiction. Um, I've already had felony cases. I'm
Wow.
on my way to 16. I went to prison at 16. Um,
You went to prison at 16. Is
yeah,
that even legal?
it is legal. I was um, part of the first people in Colorado to do the like scared straight program, but the program was not established, and they put you in these. You're going to prison for like 4 days with a bunch of people, and they try to do this kind of snowball, like you're in your face, and I was so broken and shattered, and like felt angry, and I'm like, I don't care what you guys think of me. You know what I mean? Even the girl, like, I showed up with hickeys and she's like, do you know you're owned? I'm like, you know what that means? I mean, I had a good time last night before I came and saw your bitch ass. Like, I was so, like, so destructive. Like, any resistance I could pull, oppositional behavior. Like, I was so, and it was because I was so shattered inside. Like, I had no worth. And
On
so,
your list of people you hated, including God,
oh yeah, I felt like we had a mutual agreement. He didn't like me and I didn't like him, so we were cool.
do you feel at that time in your existence you had more people that you hated than you loved?
Oh yeah, and I felt like more people hated me than loved me.
So yeah, right, I get it. Did you did you feel that love was a real thing or just a myth?
Just a myth, and I still have that sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah, like I get trauma can it gets me emotional. Trauma has such a like it's like a tsunami.
Mm-hmm.
Like it comes in and wipes out villages and families
Mm,
and
mm.
separates you from like reality, and you can't like sometimes you can't rebuild it, and it like comes back like you like how am I in a gas station just buying water with 10 years clean and my life's great, right? Like I've traveled the world, I've spoken places, I have some beautiful people in my life, and then all of a sudden I'm just in this place paralyzed, and I don't want to move, and I want to kill myself, and I want to put a syringe in my arm, and I don't even know how to do that anymore, you know what
Mhm,
I felt
mhm.
like failure where I'm like, oh, the one thing that I was the most loyal to my entire life that destroyed me, I don't even know how to go get that anymore.
Do
Like,
you remember the first time you put a syringe in your arm?
yeah,
How old were you?
I was around 13 with a syringe.
Who was with you?
Uh, Older people that I hung out with on that property where I was trafficked.
You were already trafficked at 13?
Yeah, I was already going out there. She loved me. Like she let me have bonfires. She combed my hair. She fed me. She let us teens be wild and free. She let me be angry and violent. She let me be powerful and sad. And she let me, taught me how to use. correctly, right? Like if I had to say it, like do it this way, don't do it that way. You'll save this way if you do it this way. And yeah, I was already going out there, and I was already, having sex out there and dressing however I wanted.
Just being free. It was probably the only place you were completely free.
Yeah, and I say, I was out on this property, and I'm getting ready to write this piece because I write a lot poetry, and I've been on these platforms to write, and I'm getting ready to do one on Saturday, and I talk about fresh airs deceiving.
Mm.
Um,
Do you
and
have that stuff memorized?
do I have it memorized?
Or
No,
do you have it written down?
I do.
You have some nearby?
I might, but maybe we can read it here in a minute. But
Yeah, I'd love that.
yeah,
I'd love that.
because it was in the woods with these huge pine trees and this beautiful property that sunset and sunrise. But like when you look around, there was just objects and shacks and trash and
Mm-hmm.
and it like a junkyard, but like the smell of fresh air out there was very deceiving. And so even for me till this day, sometimes hiking and going up to the woods is a trigger for me.
Wow. Now that's not one of the things that comes to mind when you think trigger. How interesting. I can't wait till we get that sharing a little bit later in the show. Right now, I want to ask you,
but I missed an important piece.
Go ahead.
About being 17.
Go ahead.
I mean, I had a few abortions, obviously, from my, distorted way of thinking of sex and what was happening to me and the violence. And I didn't know what it was called. I thought I was trading.
So when you say a few, how many?
2 before I was 16. And, but I ended up.
January, why do you think you say a few and not a couple? If it was 2, why do you think you say a few?
I don't know. Maybe I think my mind just says like I walked into this clinic so many times. And I did. I walked into this clinic so many times as a teenager with no parent, no signature, nobody asking me flashes. That there was times that I wasn't.
Let me say this to you. Let me just say this to you because I love you. 2 is 2. 2 is a couple. 2 is not a few. You know what I'm saying? Don't give the truth. Don't help the truth. It doesn't need our help.
Okay.
It's the only thing in the universe that will never change. That's that thinking that gets us every time. Adding to, we don't need to see it for what it is. You see what I mean? And keep it where it was. That's if you see it for what it is, you get to keep it where it was. And use it for your benefit and the benefit of others instead of it steering you into thinking that it's gonna. I'm just saying that. I want you to receive that. I want to and thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about. Okay, so you had a couple of abortions, and now you find
And I had a kid.
Right, that's what we're going to. And then you had the baby. Why do you think you had that baby?
Because it was too late. I didn't make it there. It was too far into the pregnancy. I didn't know through the drug use, like literally, like when I finally showed up to the clinic, I was like 5 months pregnant.
So, and you were using all the way through the pregnancy?
Yeah.
Intravenous?
Yeah, all of it, yeah.
And so the baby, of course, was
both my kids.
Oh, you've had 2.
I have my 20-year-old. My first one, the one that we're talking about right now, got murdered. When she was 3.
What? Is that too much? Is that a scab that can't be picked? Is that off limits?
No. For a long time, I denied it. Like I couldn't. Not denied it. I don't know. My emotions had so many echoes, and I lost my fucking mind, Loren.
I think. I mean, who wouldn't?
Because like there was this thing, right, where like I've already done this, which is walk into clinics, and I already have like wrong excuse, right decision, right? That's what happened in those moments. And then I have this one that I have, and I'm like, I didn't know how to love anything, and I had to learn how to love her. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was a baby having a baby.
Yeah.
And sometimes
is that the child when you were going to prison? Is that one?
Yeah, I already went to that, had her when
God came out.
Well, and went to high school. Like I only went for that Scared Straight program, but I was there and I stayed, and then I already had a DOC number from
Okay.
going in there, and then I went back in when
So
she.
what happened with your daughter?
That's the $1 million question. That's the trauma question of my life.
How are
I was
you doing with
I was a dopey mom. I was running drugs. I was held hostage in another trafficking situation with her. I was losing my mind. I was homeless on the streets with her. I was barefoot. I finally made it home. My dad came and picked me up, probably like 6 hours away in a different town. And I let her go live with her dad. Well, and I don't know if I let her. And
wow.
she never made it home.
So
She never made
yeah,
it home.
yeah. I just and the reason I stopped there and had a timeout was because I want people to understand everybody always thinks they know what the face of addiction looks like. They always think they know what the face of recovery looks like. And it is so different for every single person. And the healing never ends, it's a continual thing, because you have to heal from flashbacks, you have to heal from memories, you have to heal from so many things that you can't. They're not like wounds that you give the wound care bags to. Put this on and it's going to feel better. And
No,
so to be able to get outside of that yourself, to be able to get to the healing of others, that's why you hear me say things like the healing never ends. Because if you're going to continue healing, you must find a way to help heal others.
right.
That's the balm of Gilead, if you ask me. So let's talk about this. Alexa's
It's a
in there
raw
giving.
time. Her anniversary is September 2nd,
Well,
1990.
Alexa, shut up. She's
So
in there
yeah.
giving me my COVID updates.
So I usually go. I'm a little nuts around this time of year. Um, I go home. I go get grounded. That's where she's buried. And because I'm from Colorado, most of my trauma addiction correction time is in Colorado. I moved to Utah to try to
Right.
get better.
I get it. I get it. So okay, so now that happens. Um, by the time, let's go here. By the time you lose your daughter, how many times do you think you, January Reagan, had attempted suicide?
Oh, 7, 8 times.
And how many times,
A couple hospitalized ones, and then
okay, just by that time, how many times in your entire adulthood up to today would you figure you had actually attempted to take your own life?
probably like 12.
12 times. 12 times. And 12 times that mission was averted. 12 times that whisper of do it, do it, do it was proven to be a liar.
Right,
12 times for me, no matter what your number is, and there are those of us watching who have, all of us have a number that we can put inside that question that pertains to our journey. But I want you to know today, and I want you to receive this as well, January Regan, and everyone else that can hear my voice. Every one of those numbers should serve as a marker to remind us how important it was for us to stay here, because something was trying awfully friggin' hard
right,
to stop that. And that's how I look at it. You tried really hard. You were trying everything hook or crook to get me to do what you don't have the power to do.
right,
So remember that, and share that with somebody who's in the process of building their own final number. Because when you say probably 12 times, there's somebody saying 22 times.
right,
There's somebody that can't even answer the question because they were successful. And
right.
thank God it's not us.
That's why I
Okay.
have it. That's why I have it tattooed across my arm. I gave
You
up, but not today.
you're an empath because every time I'm about to switch to the next thing, you're already there. And that's exactly where I wanted to go. I wanted to talk about those tattoos. Now, a lot of people say, oh, these tattoos are a story, they're a chronological a history of my journey. And some people hide behind them. Some people use them to cover up track marks or cutting marks or a combination thereof. Tell us about your tattoos and the story. What was in your mind the day you got your very first one? And has that changed? The purpose of having them, has it changed as you've gotten more and as you've grown?
It's weird. I got my very first one. I was running stolen cars across borders into New Mexico, and I ended up meeting this guy that was a tattoo artist, and I was like,
Girl,
I,
you
I,
need to warn people for some before some of this shit comes out of your mouth. Because if I had coffee in my mouth right then, I'd have spewed it all over the screen.
I
Okay,
know, and
go
it was
ahead.
weird. He was just drawing, and I said, what are you drawing? And he's like, just this fairy that's sitting on this world, like just sitting on this world. And I was like, oh, I kind of feel like that. Like, I feel like I don't fit in anywhere, but I'm just wandering life. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I'll put it on you. And that was my first tattoo. And I'm like,
What
6.
was it?
It was this little fairy sitting on this world with
Oh,
wand with stars all over, and she just doesn't fit in anywhere. Like, I didn't fit anywhere. I didn't know where I belonged.
is she
And I
still
didn't know
on you?
where I belonged. Yeah, it's on my back. And then from there, like most of this whole sleeve is in memories of people that I've lost. Like, my grandpa collected pocket watches, my grandma sewed. Wildflowers were all over my grandma's property. Some of the places that I really felt safe I put on here, like my dad's dog tags. He died when I was young, like when I was 20 something. Um, and just and then the rest are just things that are important to me, like my recovery. I loved
Yeah.
Roger Rabbit. Like,
Can I
I have
ask
to
you
escape
something?
all those things.
Did you before you had a home, you know, stuff, I remember those days. I remember where I had nothing but was in my bag. I couldn't keep shit. I couldn't keep pictures. I'd leave them somewhere. I didn't have anything. And when I got back to my sanity, the first thing God told me to do in my studio apartment, I'll never forget that first night. All I had was a backpack that had inside of it a hoodie and a stolen roll of toilet paper that I got from the BP gas station. But and I remember laying down on the floor and covering up with the hoodie, and the backpack was flat, and I put the toilet paper as a pillow, and we all know where that originated from. Lock up. And I was never more peaceful going to sleep. I hadn't been peaceful like that. I couldn't even remember when, even in the foster system, because I always slept with one eye open. So I couldn't even remember. But I do remember the next morning when I was using the bathroom and I had the roll of toilet paper. I was like, man, I could pee all over this toilet if I wanted to because it's mine. You know what I mean? And I know that sounds, and I can clean it up with my roll of toilet paper, even if I did steal it from the gas station. And
Right.
so, excuse me, I remember God told me the first thing to do. I had some little photos that I'd kept in my release manila envelope they get you when you come out of
Oh, yeah.
prison. Yeah,
Yeah.
because everybody knows I was in prison,
I got
and
those.
yeah, and I remember because people send you those, and I'd said go to the Goodwill or go someplace and find some frames, and I made a little montage and I put them there because it was the first time I was cognizant of being ready to stay. I wasn't. There's a difference between running from something and running towards something, and it took me decades to understand that. So now I want to ask you: do you remember the moment where this is a very it's a lot of people throw it around, they say rock bottom, and rock bottom is a place. It really is a place, and it's a mindset. It's when it all comes together. It's really a positive. It was for me. It was when I learned that difference about running from and running to. And so I wonder if you could share with us, if for a moment, that day when you really knew that, you know what, we're about to flip this around. What happened? What did you hear?
Well, so I got a different perception of, I believe you hit rock bottom when you stop digging. And
Girl.
I hit rock bottom when I was like 12, you know what I mean? And I'm like 29 trying to get in recovery, still like coming out of prison and like, still exploiting myself any way I can. And, like, I mean, I literally was I was late to my daughter's funeral because I had a needle in my arm. Like that's fucking bottom. Like, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And so, and I kept on using, and so I believe you hit bottom when you stopped digging. And I remember clearly, like, I had no more, like, the last time I used was
Yeah.
probably when they arrested me for the last time. Like, I literally was green, malnutritioned, 80 pounds, couldn't talk. I had scratch and dirt, and like I had sores and abscesses everywhere.
Mm.
And I was withdrawing so hard in a jail cell that like I ruined. It took me a long time, and I'm gonna just get really raw. This is something I really
Okay.
share all the time is
Go ahead.
from being in the correction system, like instead of having marks all over you or sharing needles or whatever you do, like I shoved heroin in my ass for a long time, and that's how I got high. But it ruined all the nerve ends in there, and I couldn't shit correctly for like my first year of recovery. Like I had to use a glove, had to do this. Like I was so fucked up. Like I was so broken. I didn't even like I didn't like and I don't, you know, and I had like it was torn down there, like everything like had to be like I don't even look like the same girl. And I'm not one of those that post this and this. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like um like my recovery is not based on who I was, it's on who I am today. You know,
Amen. Doesn't define you, it refines you.
and I know like resilience comes from suffering, right? Like, and I was that person behind city lights. Like I exploited, I learned how to prostitute myself. I learned how to find other people, pimps, you know, daddies. I was on sites. I had a lot of daddies. You know, it's weird when you become your own perpetrator.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
become- Like I
Oof.
started to molest myself.
Right.
I didn't know
Right.
that. I didn't know what was going on. Like every chance I had to punish myself because I didn't feel like I was worth this, like led to more digging, right? And
Yeah.
so, um, last time I used, like I didn't think I didn't. I thought I was going back to prison. I thought it was like, oh, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
spend life like it's
Mm-hmm.
over.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow or another, me and that judge argued, and he was like, I'm gonna put you in treatment. And it was the first time I've ever in treatment.
Wow.
The whole time I've
Listen
been.
up. When we return from our short break, we're going to talk with January Reagan, our guest today, on the turnaround. We're going to hear all about Soap to Hope, and I want to know how she knows the names of so many of those lost souls out on the street. And we're going to talk about some of her success stories, some actual people that told me when I talked to them on the sidelines this past weekend in Salt Lake City, told me unequivocally that January Reagan saved their lives. And we're going to talk about that when we return. Stay put.
When I saw you, I would lose control. Made me feel like there was no tomorrow. Should've told you that you're beautiful, but the days pass and now it's so long ago. Did you make it? Did you break free? Did you manage to be who you wanna be? Maybe somewhere you think about me too. Wonder where are you now?
Okay, we're back. Thanks for hanging around. I'm Lauren Michaels Harris, the host of uh, Bathrobe Moments, and my guest today is January Riggin out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Before break, we talked about a lot of things, but now I want to ask you something. First of all, shout out to my sponsors for this month,
Absolutely.
The Emperor's Medicine, and also Nikki's of Naperville. And I also want to send a shout out to Joshua T. Berglund, who saw the promo for his new show that's coming in just a couple weeks to E360 TV Live.
Love
I
him.
am Joshua. Yes,
I
and
love him.
I played the promo today. I had to reload it. I played the promo. I think I'm going to keep it here to throw in every now and then, just as a reminder that the fight is still in full swing. I want to ask you that promo for the Slave Free Project. I produced that piece, put it together, and I realized when I was given that challenge how little I actually knew about what the face of trafficking looked like. So I want to ask you, how realistic are some of those images from where you lived this experience?
Oh, that's child trafficking is like like that, like watching kids be kidnapped and taken, and I've never witnessed that piece, like where a little toddler or kid has been taken and then they're sold in this slavery in this industry, and it's fucking disgusting.
But it
And
happens.
oh, it happens all over. Kids are missing like 6,000 a year just
Yeah.
around the globe, and like it gets me emotional. But I've watched teens on the streets just end up missing, and women missing and can't find them. And even on with our organization, like I will be out there night and day hunting for these women. Like I haven't found the phone, I haven't seen them. Where they at? I go in
Yeah,
alley, knock on doors.
you know them so well,
You
and
know,
I found it very interesting how the relationship you forged with them as a friend, as a sister, as a BFF. And there's so many different shades to your relationships with each and every one of those individuals. But what I took from it that had me stuck on the side of the bed half the night, thank you very much, was how you were able to see past their scars
right?
and they were able to see you in spite of yours. It was a two-way feed. It was a great, it felt like I was walking down a conveyor belt known as the Great Equalizer that
Right.
night, where I didn't feel above or below.
No,
And
you
that's, and that's something you don't get to experience. Talk about what it is out there. I remember you specific, one of the things that stood out to me were the last couple people, the black kid who had gone to college and was a writer. And he was talking when we were over by the little restaurant where the girls were doing the heroin and stuff right there on the drive-through. And you said to him, we need to get down here and get some bags and get this trash picked up and then dirty needles that are laying around. And he says, okay, I'm working on that. And then the girl at the end who said, oh, no, I don't need hygiene. My mom dropped me some off the other day. Remember that?
right.
Her. Talk about how, because everybody thinks they know what it looks like. If you were to say, let's play Pictionary, draw a person who's out on the streets from this kind of a situation. And the way you would say, see that girl over there, she's new, she's vulnerable. She's vulnerable. That guy's going to come back around and talk to her. And every time you made a prediction, you were right. How come you can see that and so many others can drive past it every day and not see it? This stuff was happening where you took me, right down the street from the huge Mormon temple.
Yeah, right down the street.
Talk about it.
Yeah, obviously every community, every city has their projects, their ghetto, their you know, shooting galleries, their areas where they congregate. And and these guys are a community. They take care of each other. Like even the other night when we were out, like this guy comes running to me and he's like, I just saved this girl's life and I gave her CPR. Should I call 911? But she wants to talk to you. Da, da, da. And like that, like they're, like some of their stories are that they lost jobs and they ended up homeless and now they're, using to get by, like because they're out there. But and some of this, like we talk about local trafficking, which is generational pimp, drug control, low self-esteem control, survival control. We're like animals. We have to survive, right? And we want some independence. Like, I was never one that said, oh, I'm going to stand on a corner and be like, beg you for a buck. I'm going to go hustle and degrade myself for like a need, right? I'm going to go walk this street, see if this guy will pick me up, or, hey, I'm going to, find, how to pimp, or my boyfriend that's beating me is like, you're going to do this, or, the guy that held me hostage, or where I was at on this property. And I went back all the time. Like, I wasn't looking for exit plans, and nobody was looking for me. And so most of my passion is that this community is forgotten. They're lost. Nobody's looking for them. And I want to be one that's looking for them.
Amen.
I want them to know that they matter. And, you get confidential informant, or, police, undercover police out there that are like, oh, I'm going to get this girl for prostitution and solicitation. Well, how about when you're in the car with her, you ask her, hey, why are you out here? What do you need? Can I take you to the domestic violence shelter? Can I take you up to the hospital? You're obviously getting in cars that you don't even know. So what else is happening to you?
Right.
And
wait, hold on. You said something when you spoke at the rally, and I had heard you say it the night before, and I want you to say it here today. You said, if someone would have asked you,
if somebody would have asked me what happened to me instead of what was wrong with me, my life probably would have changed.
Say it again. Say it again one more time.
If somebody would have asked me what happened to me instead of what's wrong with me, my life would have changed. Because so many people thought shit was wrong with me. They're like, she's a delinquent, she's a criminal, she's a whore, she's a slut, she's she's lying. She likes being beat by her boyfriend because she continues to go back, like whatever, or she's using her daughter's death as an excuse to get loaded. I had it all. Like, I even still have haters now, like, get on my Instagram and are like, get it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, is that what you go around is picking apart people because you're not doing your part? And
right.
So I'm not, I don't go for it.
I want to say this because people aren't going to believe this. When you said what you just said about doing your part, that's what made me sit on the side of bed. I was like, how come I don't feel like I'm doing shit? I mean, I get it that I am, but I saw purpose, passion, promise, and action.
Right.
In full Technicolor, big screen, 3D, whatever you need to call it. Now, I want you to talk about, this was another shocking moment that night for me. When the car pulled up and the music and the girl sitting in there, and I'm like, oh, I thought it was a Donna first, and I saw the girl sitting on the passenger side, and you whisper to me, you go, oh, this guy here is a big gangbanger. He's a big gang member. And he walks up to you, he's rolling a blunt, remember, or finishing it, doing the licking part. And, excuse me, and you guys start talking, and he says, January, I'm going to have a midnight barbecue just for you.
He loves me out there. They love me out there.
So he wants to bring you to his home to break bread. So talk about where those divides come together. How does that work, that you're with a guy who's actually supplying? I mean, your friends, what is that relationship all about?
I met, like, everybody's doing service out there, right? Regardless if they're, if it's me or if he is serving this population, but they're all in need. Like, most of these people, it's easier to get well than get better at times. And most of these people, when they need to get well, like I share, like, there was so many times that I was in full blown withdrawal, and like, I was crumbling. And if somebody didn't come supply me, like, I don't know what I would have done in those moments, or if I would have died, or if I would have overdosed. And so, yeah, we all have a purpose, and it might not all look the same, but it all has, like, we're all there for our community. And I built these relationships with most, drug dealers, gang members, our community, people suffering from homelessness, teenagers out there running from home, women that have lost all family support, lost all self-esteem, they're abused. Some of them I have a girl out there right now that used to be a nurse at the hospital. And
January, how many people in a month average, from out there in your work, your outreach work, how many people per month would you say die? That you actually have had face-to-face contact?
It's a strange thing, because when my first year doing street outreach and creating this passion I had, like, it was every week a girl was dead. like, I mean, literally the hotel next to me, she got, choked, she overdosed, she was forgotten. And now, this last like couple of days ago, there was 40 reversals of overdose with naloxone, which I'm super grateful for Utah Naloxone and all of our community partners that are supplying these harm reduction supplies and, being out there. And if you could really imagine, if 40 people didn't have this drug to save them and this community wasn't showing up for them, 40 people would have just died right on the streets of Salt Lake, right? And but now there's probably 2-3 a month that are either dying from overdose, haven't found them, malnutrition, withdrawal, like they can go into withdrawal, even in a jail. We had a couple of girls that like went into jail, died in the jail. We do have a lot of success stories where they do get out and go to treatment, and I've sent them out of state for treatment. I've sat and taken girls in to have their babies born, and they left them up there, but they went up there.
Right.
They trusted me enough to take them up there. And we've, gotten women into STD testing, abscess care, attaching them to peer support programs here. And the success stories don't always have to be like this long-term recovery or they stopped using dope, but they like trusted somebody.
Right.
That's a success story because I didn't trust anybody.
Right. January, what happens to these girls when they overdose, die, expire, transition? What happens to their bodies? Do the families ever?
We've had a couple of families contact like that. They got contacted. They went, but a lot of them don't have family support. They end up in this, just another cremation in the county.
Another Jane Doe.
Another Jane Doe.
So for girls that have ID and stuff, there's nobody responsible for doing a tracing and trying to find the next of kin. If she dies with a needle in her arm, she's just okay, good riddance.
Right. I've found a lot of families. There's a lot of girls out of here from out of state.
Right.
I worked with families in Kentucky, Florida. I got one grandbaby. I got one of the ladies that had her baby. She went back out. She couldn't leave this guy, which is her pimp. And her grandma came out here, or her mom came out here, met us. We hung out with her, got her all the stuff that we got donated for that baby. And she went back with that baby. And I get pictures of her like every other week of this baby that's with her grandma now. But her daughter's still out here. She has no identity. I didn't know her name, but I found out her name. And her family's been looking for her. And a lot of these women, sometimes they are being looked for and sometimes they're not. And sometimes these people just don't want people looking for them.
Right. Some people don't want to be found.
And they don't feel like they're worth it. That was me. When I shared at that Slave Free Project that like I'm so honored to watch what CERT Ministries does because nobody was looking for me.
Right. Right.
Nobody was looking for me.
I'd like you to now, as we round I hate that we're out of time, but Amber will be back here on Monday and pick it up and take us to another side of the block and share her story with us so that we keep the dialogue, the conversation going. That's what we really are trying to do here.
Right.
So January, as we get out of here, I want you to tell us, we have your connector on one of your connectors on the screen, and I'll leave that on the screen until we're completely off the air today. But I would love for you to give people a few ideas of how they can help further your cause. What kind of things do you need? And how do they get in touch with you to help provide you with those needs?
Well, so we obviously have the website where you can donate on PayPal. You can contact us through our website and let us know if you're local or if you're out of state. There's ways you can donate, obviously, money. And we have an Amazon wish list, and I can send you that link too.
And nobody in your organization gets paid?
Nobody in my organization.
Not one person. Let's get that out of the way. Keep going.
And I come out of pocket, and our community comes out of pocket, and we buy supplies, wound care, syringe exchange. We get clothes donations. And we're trying to grow. We want to become that organization that's offering crisis housing, has an office, has a drop-in center, has these things for this community. And it's at night. These women are at night. They don't tap into resources during the day. they're afraid. One, they're not allowed to leave. They don't look like the rest of you. They don't have the clothes that even feels like I can walk in somewhere and feel loved or supported or treated differently, and so we open a lot of, like, we have a lot of connections with community partners that are changing that dialogue with us. We're getting ready to open up one 2-hour slot for girls to go into a clinic, and it's just from Soap to Hope. And they can go
just incredible. I remember the girl who said, "Do you have any tampons?" And you go, "Yeah, here." And we gave her like 3 or 4 bags. She goes, "Thank you." She goes, "Right now, this is my only pair of pants." And she goes, "Can you imagine?" And I was like, "Oh my God."
Right.
You just don't think that. So you're doing a wonderful work. Hashtag being of service, a great example. You can be about it or you can talk about it. Here
Oh,
today is one person who's being about it and not just talking about it. And we're so grateful. So there you go, everyone. www.soap2hope, ut.com. Do whatever you need to do. Tattoo it on your soul. I hope it's seared inside your spirit. Write it on a post-it note. Screen shoot it. Whatever you need to do. Just get it, keep it, and use it. Don't just write it down and don't use it. Get over there and see how you can help. January, I save up the toiletries, and I have some here that I'm going to get to you. If I'd have known before I came out, I brought them with me. But the little samples from the hotels, all the travels we do,
right.
I save all those. So I'm going to get those to you. Every little bit helps. What is on your, give me 3 things that you could really use yesterday to put in these bags? Mask, hand sanitizer. What is it? What is the thing that you find yourself running out of the fastest?
Tampons, condoms, and handwritten personal notes of encouragement.
Now, who can't do that? There you go. Handwritten. Those, you have one of those in every bag.
Every bag.
And I remember I remember you said when you go knocking on the doors, the people who own the CD hotels let you in. You have a great relationship with most of those, and they let you in. And you said most of those rooms, when you go in, they have kept those words of encouragement and stick them where? All over the door?
All over the door. Even the men keep the notes. It's like they're like, "Hey, look at my room," and they call me. And then there's some girls that are like, it's the one, like, they've been arrested, have gone into detox, and then people have gone through their stuff. And even people that we have that work there, they're like, "Hey, like, this girl, these are notes from your organization. They told us." They're
Wow.
like, that's the one thing they kept in their bag is the note. I'm like, it makes me emotional, but we're trying to grow, right? Like, we want to go.
Absolutely.
Grow.
Absolutely.
We are.
Brandy Drake. I want to thank Brandy. Thank you, Brandy, for posting the link for the Amazon wish list. So now it's nothing but a matter of touching the link. Touch it with your finger, touch it with your cursor if you're on your lap or desktop, and get over and help. I will do that, I promise, as soon as we sign off and go over and check one thing off your list, maybe more. And I just want to say in conclusion, remember that everything, there are no scars that don't have a story right underneath them. And your story is the thing, not our fingerprints and not our DNA. When we all leave this world, which one day we will, none of us will beat time in this race known as life. But when we're gone, our fingerprints, our DNA, on to ashes, dust to dust. But thank goodness, thank whatever it is you believe is greater than yourself, that we can still live on and our work can still move on and heal and change the world because of our stories. The one thing that can live after our tongues have been silenced. And I know that your story and the story of Soap to Hope will continue for generations. And that is true legacy. And I want you to just be encouraged, keep doing what you're doing, keep sharing your story, and I'm going to do everything I can. And Bathrobe Moments is here for you. You're a part of our family now, and I just want to say God bless you and thank you for all you do. You're a true warrior. I really mean that. You changed my life that night in just a couple hours. So, and I tell everybody when they say, "How was your trip?" I say, "Life changing," and I mean it. I mean it. You did. You changed my life. So thank you. I'm so sorry we're out of time. Join us tomorrow, everyone, when my guest will be Jake Evans. Oh, you want to see this too? This is another great person doing things. He's the founder of a nonprofit called Hope Guides. You'll learn more about that when you tune in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central, God willing. Thank you. Remember, and in closing, January, I tell everybody, and I'm going to tell you too, don't forget, if you want to change the world, soon as you wake up, find the nearest reflective surface. It could be an old
Yeah.
spoon next to the bed, a mirror, a dirty window, anything you can see yourself in. Because once you can see that blessing, now you're ready to go out and be that blessing. Good
Ah,
day, everyone. I'll
bye.
see you tomorrow right here. God bless you. Thank you again, January.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.